Well, Emmanuel, it's really nice to meet you, and congratulations on the 50K instant funding account. You've now pushed past that level 1 and you're now into the level 2. Really well done. And when you joined us back in, I think it was sort of like early December time, you've taken your time and you've done it in a nice measured way, but there's been a few hurdles along the way. First up, before we get into the account, tell me how you personally found it.
Well, I found it quite interesting. I've been with the company for a few years, so it isn't my first try, and I've trusted them over these years. So I had many attempts, and at this time I decided, okay, I just have to stick with what the strategy I have proven, and I tried to stick with it. That's it. So I found it quite interesting. A few rules changed because I knew the company from over 3 years ago. So I came in, I didn't even check the rules. I just assumed that it's the same rules that I dealt with over 2-3 years ago. I didn't know a few rules had changed. So when I was trading, I began to find out, a few rules changes, and that kind of obstructed my trading flow a little, caused a little demotivation. And, psychology is all about trading. So it affected my psychology a little, I would not deny. I was shocked, but I even went to the Discord channel and found out that this rules had changed since December last year. So it wasn't about me or, so I just tried to, get used to it and get remotivated. That was the only hurdle I think I experienced.
What do you think that you've then had to then remap and redevelop in your own trading then to sort of accommodate? Because obviously all prop firms go through different phases of changing different parameters on the accounts. What did you have to change? Was it purely a mindset thing, or was there anything mechanical in your trading that you actually adjusted?
It was both psychologically, mindset, and mechanically. For the psychology was prior to this, about a few years ago, I did use a promo code and I was to make at least about 80% profit split, and then I realized it was the standard 50. So let's say my expectation was, quite disappointed. So that affected my psychology, like, oh, what I was hoping to do with the money, and that affected my psychology. Then mechanically, I am a long-term trader. I have a strategy that incorporates long-term trading. You could break it down to make short-term trades, but it is built for the long term. Mm-hmm. So I broke it down for the short term in the evaluation. But when the level 1 came, because I was a little bit busy with the job and all that, I tried to go for the long term. And then I heard of a new rule that said you must have 15 profitable trading days. That is 0.5. Now, I had to make mechanical changes for this, because a long-term trade, I could make one trade, I could make 10 trades, and only 2 or 1 need to take profit, and they'll cover all the losses of the other 9 and might even hit the required target for the prop account. So I was only in 3 trading days when I had hit the required 10%. But I couldn't make every draw. And now I had 7 days, which is no small thing. And I wondered, okay, how am I going to go through 7 long-term trading cycles? So I had to now break down the strategy mechanically, rework on my strategy to be able to fit that rule, which I wasn't aware of. So both of which caused mechanical changes, but more psychological, it was a psychological hit. I would say that was a psychological hit on me,
It's interesting that you mentioned the psychology of that, because I want to talk a little bit about the entry stage on this account back in December, and then into the level 1 on at the start of this year, which is where we currently are now. You've passed that into level 2 from here. Yeah. Both of those instances, you can see that there's some mechanical changes in there, but both of them you were drawn down virtually in the middle of your trading period with them. When you mention psychology, how do you then go about dealing with the fact that you're becoming more drawn down, and then you're really getting quite close to the wire, and then on both occasions it's really surged back? How do you deal with that psychologically?
Yeah, for the first trial, I don't think the drawdown was as bad as the second. The second was worse, and I would say the second was where the psychology really hit. The first one wasn't so much, because I sort of combined both the short-term trades and the long-term trades. So the drawdown was, okay, one long-term trade is booking up, and by the time it draws a little, it goes to a spike. and that's the long-term trade. That covers for any small losses, But the second one was really a psychological tumult right there. I got into confusion how I was going to make up this thing. So I started trying to take some short-term trades. And the psychology of trading is desperation. You become desperate and then you get off your trading plan and you start trying to take some luck, and just trying to meet the demand of the prop firm, which is a rule, not a trading rule, but a company rule. And so this almost gave me a few issues in the trading. I had to relax, and try to, get back at it, and I think what really helped me was I do have my own personal private trading account with a normal broker. Yep. So I try to depend on that more and just say, okay, let me do this whatever it takes, however long it takes. Let me know, no need to rush, because that's what was causing, trying to make up the 10 days, that was what was causing so that caused a serious drawdown. And if you look at the account, if I may point out, I think that was 28 or 26 thereabout of last month.
That's right.
Almost hit the target. It even hit it during the spike, and came down. Yeah. And so I took a lot of profit there. And then that was when I discovered the rule, of 10 days, which came after discovering a few other rules that were new to me. So if you see after that, the account now went into a spiral, going down, tumbling, just kept tumbling, and that was psychology right there.
Yeah, like when you make a really good point as well, and I like what you said about having a regular retail brokerage account running along the side, because in that situation, it's just too easy unless you've got a huge amount of experience and you've been around the block, for year after year after year. It's so easy when you're then becoming drawn down to think, oh, it's all going wrong. And you start changing everything left, right, and center. And you forget to just stay with the plan.
Exactly. That's precisely what we mean by psychology in trading. I think 90% of traders, even 2-year, 3-year-old traders, have a good trading plan. Even a trading strategy you copy online on Google, not one you develop yourself. If you stick with it, you can certainly make a profit. But psychology in trading is the most important point I think we often neglect, because once you become distraught, oh, I've lost a heavy losing day, or then you get confused and you start getting off the trading plan. You start trying to take some luck, and that was really just it for me. And I started spiraling until I had to caution myself, saying, okay, I'll just depend on my regular brokerage account. And because I had a plan for the money initially, and that was the problem, when you're like, oh, I wanted to use this profit, and then everything seems to go down from there, and you just get psychological, you get emotional and start emotionally trading. You're no more following a strategy, you're just emotionally trading, so that's one thing in a retail account where your control, it's your money, do what you like, but it's a very different game if you're going to go down that road when you're actually working in a prop firm where you've got all of these parameters around the account as well. And I would say I would have to appreciate, irrespective of the fact that it did affect me negatively, I would have to appreciate the company's policies and rules. They are actually built to keep you in the trade. I heard of the rule of transferring of your profits to the new account, and so your profits must be in the account. If not, the drawdown is removed. And all the rules, in fact, I have to commend the company that they have brought up. They are very stringent though, but they are for the good of trading. You would last long, because my personal trading account, it is basically applying the rules of your company to my personal brokerage that has kept it alive. Honestly, I have tried severally. I would always get emotional and blow the account. But trying to stick with these rules and transfer same rules to that account is what has even kept it, long enough for me to be able to transfer my emotions to it, so to say. So I don't think the problems are with the rules. The problems are just that I discovered them, in the middle of the water. I didn't plan for them, and so they caused some shock and some emotions. That's it. But the rules are good.
A lot of the rules are, and the changes in rules, and I'm sure it's the same at other platforms as well, but certainly at FTUK, they are there for very specific reasons. And I think one of the key issues is that it gets forgotten so often is that this company is designed about scaling. That's what we do. It's all about aggressive scaling. So the rules can seem incredibly sort of like, firm in one direction when you're on a relatively small amount. But once you then increase that and the capital goes up massively, you can see the benefit of having that structure around you. And it's there, like you say, it keeps you in the trade, it keeps you with your strategy, and it keeps you on track. Yeah,
it does. I really do appreciate it. I did commend them to Liam one time and even Mr. Chris. And I said, well, I love the rules. It's just, it was a shock, because the most devastating thing for a trader, I would say, is, seeing profits and then it turns into a loss. That causes psychology. So in the same way, hoping on a certain amount and then it turns out you're not going to get that causes psychology. And then you try to let me double up and get that, and then you get emotional and you leave your trading plan and then you just start gambling. You're
absolutely right. There's one thing having a position in the market and the market going against you, and it's another thing having put the work in, the market gives you the profit, and then you watch that profit sink away. They are not the same. They are not the same psychologically.
Yes, they affect, and they both affect the trader in devastating ways, and that was the issue. Yeah,
really interesting. Let me talk now about and this I can't wait to know the answer to this question. Your trading style. Now you're quite on the second on the level one. There's quite a lot of trades in there. I think there's around about 269 in total. 79 trades on the entry, but your asset choices. You seem to be in love with Bitcoin and Ethereum. I mean, they are your go-to on everything. I think on your second on the level one, your biggest profit was Ethereum at $2,200. What is the appeal for cryptocurrencies? How does that map into your trading approach?
Well, I would say I didn't build my trading plan on crypto. But when I tried it on crypto, I discovered it is even more accurate on crypto. And I wouldn't just say it's more accurate, but the crypto market moves in a more predictable way. And the speed, I think, is most important. The speed it moves. For example, if I take a trade based on my strategy on the Euro USD, maybe 4 hours, and take profit is somewhere, the stop loss is somewhere, it could play around for days. It could play around going between the stop loss, the drawdown and the take profit area. It could keep playing for days and then eventually hit a stop loss or a take profit. Sometimes you could go to 90% of the take profit and then reverse back to the, and it could do that, because the market is very somewhat inconsistent. But with the crypto, I noticed once you place the trade, it just moves. It can either delay and range for a while, and then it just goes for take profit or stop loss. It doesn't delay. So that confidence makes it that when I'm taking a crypto position, I take a lot more lot size, a full lot size of the strategy, based on the strategy, what I'm willing to risk. But in an FX trade, I would split what I'm to risk over 4 trades because I don't know which is going to move in time.
I see.
Yeah, so I would say the crypto moves, I think, more decisively.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing than the FX trade. So it began to become my favorite. That became my favorite.
It's definitely. You're right. Crypto does move incredibly technically in comparison to the way a lot of the other fiat currencies or the commodities of the indices move as well.
Yeah.
And there's also less fundamentals wrapped around crypto as well. So you remove that element as well, and you have a purity in price action which you don't have in a lot of other asset classes.
Precisely. That's you. I think you did a better explanation. Yeah. I think you're talking from a little bit of experience there.
I like yourself. I've been around the block a few times, so I know everything that you've gone through, which is why looking at your performance on this account is really interesting because it's not been straightforward. But you're clearly a trader that has learned his lessons the hard way. Just what can you give us without giving us any secrets? Can you give us a rough idea? I mean, I would describe you as an intraday trader, relatively speaking. Potentially a swing trader. You mentioned the 4 hour. Are there any particular other tools that you like to lean into? You're sort of like a smart money concept guy. Do you have a particular go-to indicator that really sort of like helps you with defining your market structure? How do you generally see it?
Well, if I'm to say this as an advice, and I have been around the block for over 13 years. All right, I started trading around 18, 19 years old. So definitely over 13 years now. And if I'm to give an advice, I'd say all the smart money. I've read all the concepts, and I just say moving averages, man. At the end of the day,
Really?
yeah, it's as simple. Keep it as simple
Yeah.
as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, pick a moving average strategy. I think the whole market is built on moving averages.
So it is.
Without the fundamentals coming to screw things up, once in a while. But it's a moving average. It's as simple as that. I have my own unique strategy that I developed over the years, perfected about 3 years ago, and every day keep perfecting it. But I did start developing it over 7 years ago, and it's still built on moving average. And it incorporates a long term, which means I go for trades that the risk to return ratio is at least 1:3 on average, sometimes up to 1:10. But on average, 1:3. If you see the second account, you would notice the average loss is about $81, and the average win is about 200 and something. But most of the wins are 1,500. So the risk to reward ratio, it's always at least 1:3 or more before I take the trade. So that means even if I do have a win percentage of 40%, I would still be in a profit.
Yeah, it's a really important factor, that win-loss ratio, and always holding that in your mind with every framework and every trade as you develop.
Yeah.
It helps you get over that mechanical edge against you in the market. It's very, very important.
So that would be my advice. That would be, without giving off any strategic nuggets, that would be go for keep your strategy as simple as possible. My recommendation would always be moving averages or pivot points, something to do with that, which are both the same thing, similar things. And then make sure your risk to reward ratio is quite high, at least 1:3, maybe, or higher.
Excellent.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Really, really good advice. What has been your experience with FTUK?
Well, I have received the payouts, I think, only once or twice in the past, and so I think the customer service is quite very responsive. We don't always agree, but having someone to always talk to, argue with, tell my misunderstandings and where I disagree with the company, and Mr. Chris and Liam and all of them, they're always willing to listen. Whether they make a change or not is up to the company. Of course, I'm not the manager, but they would always be there to listen and try to explain. And at some point I begin to feel like I'm overbugging the company, because I'm always there with the customer service. We're always having a talk on this rule or that, clarifications, but they're always there. They're always responsive. So I think that would be the number one advantage I would give to the company over a lot of other prop firms. The customer service is always with you, always very responsive, and always willing to trash out any issues you may have.
Yeah. No, that's incredibly good feedback, and I appreciate that very much so. And we'll definitely all take all of that on board. Emmanuel, what is going to be your long-term plan now from here? You're going to get a funded level 2 account. It's $100K. It's a really good chunk of capital. Obviously, you're not going to change what you're going to do. You're just going to go motor forward with the company. What is the long-term plan for you?
1.6. The level 6 funded, the highest funding, 1.6 is the plan. I do hope the company is built to withstand that, in sincerity. I do think they are, but I do hope they are, because I sincerely believe I'm going for that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all there up for the people that can prove their skills and be consistent and sort of and work within the company rules. So we wish you all the best with it. It's really, really good to have you on board with us at FTUK. You are exactly the kind of trader that FTUK is built for. And the kind of mindset and the seriousness with which you are taking it is exactly what we want to promote for all of our traders at FTUK. So I really appreciate you coming and jumping on a call with me. I'm going to authorize the accounts and everything today. So you'll get that 100K level 2 account, and that'll be starting from the next day or so. And from there, we wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate the company. I appreciate you as well.